Welcome back to Yumper and Swole's 31 Days of Horror, presented to you by the Tan Glove. Today we got a treat for you, a 1985 classic. Well, how about he introduces it for us?
Welcome to Fright Night.
Fright Night is not one of your campy horror movies. I mean, it is a teen horror movie, but it's not as cringy or as cheesy as other horror movies. It has great visuals, but a lot of 80s style. The movie was directed by Tom Holland, who is probably more famously known for Child's Play, as well as doing Stephen King's Thinner. It stars Chris Sarandon, William Ragsdale, Amanda Bearse, Stephen Geoffreys, Jonathan Stark, and Roddy McDowall as Peter Vincent, whose character has very interesting traits. The name Peter Vincent is a play off two things, the first being Peter Cushing, who played Dr. Van Helsing in the Hammer of Dracula films, as well as Vincent being a play off the great Vincent Price, who's a king of the horror genre. On top of that, he hosts a weekday show that shows horror movies, which is kind of a play of what we deal with today. If you grew up in the 90s, you probably remember Joe Bob Briggs and Monster Vision. And if you're more local to the Chicagoland area, you still remember Svengoolie, who's actually still running strong today. The movie tends to ask the question, what would you do if a vampire moved next door to you? Charley Brewster, played by William Ragsdale, answers that question as Chris Sarandon, who plays Jerry Dandrige, moves next door to him. He happens to check him out killing a prostitute through the window, which is kind of weird because he has the window open when he's killing a prostitute, but no matter, it's a movie. And from there, he tries to convince everybody, including his girlfriend Amy and his friend Ed, that Jerry is a vampire. Jerry comes in and tells him to leave him alone and he'll let him live, but Charlie just can't let it go. He even goes and tries to recruit the help of Peter Vincent, a washed up actor who's basically doing horror movie introductions and late night TV. This movie has great visual effects for a 1985 movie. The visual effects were actually done by Peter Edlund, who was the head of the visual effects department at the time, who had just got done working on Ghostbusters. And they're done very well. There's a scene where a guy turns into mush after being shot. There's a scene with the vampire makeup that looks great. And there's also a great werewolf transformation scene with Evil Ed. And it's done very well, and it's kind of creepy to look at. The makeup of the vampires is done very well. Jerry looks completely freaky, as well as Amy when she's bitten. This story has just a lot of things going for it. It's kind of 80s style, so there's some 80s dancing in it, which is kind of funny, but it's actually a good story. It gives you the vampire rules of what they can do and can't do. It has a whole genre of scenes where they actually test Jerry with fake stuff such as holy water, reflections of a mirror, when they're trying to convince Charlie that he isn't a vampire. It's a nice movie that actually dwells on the teen aspect of horror in a certain aspect, and it's not a regular vampire movie. It has an interesting storyline, and it's actually something that I really enjoyed watching it back then, and I still do to today. It's gotten so popular over the cult classic status that it actually had a remake made in 2011, which is okay, but nothing beats the original. So I highly recommend you check this one out. And with that, guys, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out thetanglove.com for more videos and posts about movies, sports, and everything you like. And also check out our podcast, Yumper and Swole. We just did a thing on Nightmare on Elm Street. We're about to do one on Halloween, releasing later this week. And check out our mothership, the Tan Glove Podcast. And we'll see you in the next one.